It's a horrible wet day outside, and I thought as Christmas is coming I would begin making some fairy shoes. This is a very, very small fairy shoe, this one, but I've started to make them just a little bigger because it's perhaps a wee bit of a strain in my eyesight these days to work as small as that. But I will use the same pattern. I've made the pattern a bit bigger. These are the two shapes that I have to cut out, the sole and the upper. The upper, you'll see, just winds round and you join it at the back, and that makes the shoe shape that you want. I'll show you that in a moment. The sole, I've actually, well, for all of the upper and the sole, I'm using felt because it's a wonderful material that just doesn't give you too much bother, doesn't fray, and can be, cut into any shape that you fancy. So I have put a stiffener in. It's just whatever you have to hand that will make the sole a little stiffer. I wouldn't recommend cardboard though. I think it's better if it's something that you've got in your store cupboard. Even a stiffer bit of fabric would be fine. And I made the two stick together with a bit of bond web in between. Now you could use glue, but I think glue's a bit messy when you're working with fabric. So just use bond web if you've got some handy. That's why I keep all my wee snippets of bond web in case I'm wanting to do something small like this. And the upper is made again from the felt, but in order to make it a little more sparkly, then I put a layer of organza on top of it. Again, it's adhering to the felt with some bonder web. Now you wouldn't necessarily need to do it with bonder web if you're stitching into that as I do, but I think it just makes life an awful lot easier if it's already stuck down. And you can see from this piece here that I've already got lines drawn so that I know where my stitch line should come to. I wouldn't use a black pen unless you have. Use a colour that is something akin to the colour that you've got. The yellow and the slightly orangey colour is absolutely fine together because you will stitch over this. I leave a little edge so that you're not putting your machine stitching right at the very edge. You can trim it off afterwards, providing you've got a nice sharp pair of scissors and a steady hand. I've already started to embellish this. This is a nice stitch that I have on my machine, but a lot of machines nowadays do have some fancy stitches that you can experiment with, and I'll show you the shoes further on in a moment. I like to package them if I can, though I think I'll need to get some new bags, in these little organza bags because I think it makes an attractive gift then. Let's look at this again. The reason I've got the shiny on there is so that it gives it a bit more of a sparkle. I don't cut out that shape that's in the center there. Do you see I've got it marked? There's a kind of, you probably see it better on the yellow. There's a shape here that is the top of the upper. I don't cut that out at the moment because I'm going to put machine stitching on, and I'll show you the ones that I've got a wee bit further advanced. If you're going to machine stitch near the edge, better doing the machining and then cut with a nice sharp pair of scissors. Just trim it right into the stitching. And I've put some extra bits of fancy stitching on here. I've got a nice buttonhole stitch on my sewing machine that has done that edge there very nicely and then cut out that shape that is in the middle there. Got a few little bits of thread here that I'll sort out, but I could use them and sew them in when I start to put the sole on. Now I make the sole quite pretty looking as well because the sole is the bit that you see inside the shoe. So I keep the yellow on the outside or the colour on the outside, and I have the shiny bit in the middle for the sole. And the only thing that you have to do by hand now, because I managed actually to, it wasn't easy, I'll tell you that. I've actually managed to get that sewn, that bit at the back of the heel sewn on the sewing machine, but it's a bit of a tangle to do. You've got to kind of move very carefully and hold it in position, but it is possible to do on this bigger size. The smaller size, I don't think I would have managed that. So I've very much got a shoe in the making here, and once I've go now to do hand stitching, which is a nice thing to have to hand. Also, if you were making these and wanted to do it while you were on a train or on a journey somewhere, it's a very small project to have with you. The only thing I would advise is good light to see. Now, I'll probably sew it in a gold thread, which just will go unnoticed on the edge of these sews here. And I've left a little rim of the yellow felt there because it's easier to catch that in when you start to sew the sole on. And I'll put a little on the original shoes that I made. I had lots of, I'm sure you, like me, you save all your little bits of ribbon, and I've got lots of bits of ribbon and just made a tiny bow with a little sequin or a jewel or something on the front. And this one actually I've tormented myself sewing tiny sequins on. Now I don't know whether I'll get round to that on these or not, maybe a couple of sequins because they shine so nicely. So I'll leave that thought with you. I've got some that are ready to be made in pink, some in blue, and I'll have fun with them, and that will possibly be Christmas presents for various people. Not only young people like these, older people like them too because they're so cute. Thank you.